rules. We talked about this from the very beginning. You want to use ground rules to reinforce the culture that you want to develop. So these are just some sample ground rules that you might use to try to encourage that sense of accountability. First one, rotate the facilitator role. Why would I say that? Why doesn't the project manager just facilitate the meetings? I mean, it's their meeting. Gets people engaged. I mean, you don't want people showing up, kind of kicking back, putting their feet up, like, you know, they're like a spectator. It's, you know, your show, you run it. I'm on my iPad. You know, you really want to rotate that role. Even if that person isn't running the meeting for that meeting, if they know it's coming around to them, or if they've had to do it before, they tend to be more engaged. They tend to participate in a different way because now they respect it a lot more. They've had to do it. So you want to get them engaged. You might say, hey, you've got to notify the team leader 48 hours prior to the meeting if you're not available. Again, set that expectation. They have to be proactive. Anyone not able to attend the meeting must send a representative authorized to make a decision for them. And again, this wouldn't be something you impose, but these are just examples of some of the ones that might come out of your ground rules discussion. But you want the ground rules to come from the group, not come from you, okay? And why do I say that? Buy-in, exactly. Because trust me, it's much easier for me to enforce something, and they're going to be much more likely to do it when it came from them, as opposed to me saying, hey, these are the 20 ground rules I came up with last night. I want you guys to agree to them. That doesn't work so well. But I say, hey, I want to use your time effectively. I want to be sure we're all on the same page. I want everyone to write out a potential ground rule on a Post-it. I'm going to collect them all, and we'll go through them and see which ones we want to agree to as a group. And we've got to all agree to it in order for us to accept it as a ground rule. I love this one. This is just something actually from my past, something that our group came up with that helped us police ourselves. We had this issue, I know it's probably only me, but we would have like back-to-back conference calls, and then each one would run like 10, 15 minutes late, and then it became like this cumulative effect where each call was running 15 minutes late, and so then we multiply that by the number of people on the call and say, who would do 4 calls a day? This is a ton of time we're wasting. We came up with a ground rule, and I was so glad it wasn't me. Anyone who's late for the call, anyone who's not on the bridge, that sounds old, I guess I don't have bridges anymore, but anyone who's not dialed onto the bridge, when we call your name for roll call, you must sing a stanza of God Bless America or Star Spangled Banner or whatever on the call. And it sounds silly, it worked. I mean, one day I was late, and then I tried to kind of, you know, play it off. They were like, oh, no, Dana, we want to hear the whole thing, okay? And I had to sing. I was never late again. Okay, I don't care if I was in the middle of Publix. I would dial in for that call. I would be sure I was dialed in. So again, you want to use these little things just to encourage people to stay on top of things and be accountable. Ownership means ownership. You must come up with some sort of ground rule about PDAs. I'm not necessarily saying you adopt this one, but I'm saying bring it up to your team and say, how do we want to handle, you know, laptops, iPhones, iPads, Blackberries, Blueberries, Strawberries, all that distracting stuff in our meetings? How do we want to handle it? But I'm telling you, this is the way I word it, okay? I always say, hey guys, I mean, I know I'm trying to be connected as much as anybody because I can be a violator too, so I get it. But if everyone's kind of half with us, then the hour meeting is probably going to turn into an hour and 20-minute meeting every week. So I'm just wondering, what do we want to do about that? You know, I'm willing to go with the will of the group, but what do you guys think you want to do? And then let them come up with whatever they want. I've had a variety of responses. I've had some teams where they were strict, like she's saying, the guy literally put a basket outside the room and said, when you're coming in, you got to drop all your stuff in the basket, and then you can pick it up. It's like going through TSA. You can pick it up on your way out, you know. That's what worked for them. Then I've had other groups where they said, you know, we're 24/7 support. We have to be reachable. We can't do that. They decided to take technology breaks every 45 minutes. So every 45 minutes, they take a break and kind of check in with technology. So what's important is really not what the ground rule is, but that you come up with some sort of ground rule that you all can abide by. Because then when you start seeing violations, you can address it much more quickly. All right? And then you know, the risk, we talked about talking about consequences, and then we talked about the last one as well.